week, we're going to be talking about something that is a very controversial topic in both the Christian community and the debt-free community. So this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. There's going to be a lot of passion.
And I'm here for moral support.
It is a topic about tithing. It is something that we need to talk about. It is something that I struggled a lot with, and I was looking for materials and resources to kind of either back my faith or encourage me to get back into it, because I had stopped doing it for a long time. And I didn't see a lot of things out there. People just say, oh, tithe because God says so. And for me, I feel like maybe that should be good enough, but for me, that wasn't good enough. So there was a lot that I was looking to know that I didn't know. Hopefully, this is going to help you. Okay, let's talk about tithing and what is tithing. Tithing is basically, the word tithing means a tenth of your income or your increase.
She means a tenth.
What did I say?
I don't know what you said.
It's my Bible accent. Yeah, 1/10. Is that African, you know?
I think they get it now.
Canadian and African at the same time.
I think they get it now.
Jeez. Okay, it is 10%.
Okay, good. Very clear.
10% of your increase. So if you have a paycheck, your take-home pay, a tenth of that increase that you get. If you're a business owner, you take the cost of your business minus the expenses. Wait, the cost is expenses.
Your income.
You take the income that you make from your business minus the expenses for that month, and the profit is what you tithe out of.
Okay, so I was confused for the longest time because of that.
Really?
Yeah, so in my mind, when I heard tithe out of your excess, I thought I had to take my income, which was the amount that I get paid for my job, and then minus my personal expenses, and then whatever was left, that was where I was supposed to tithe from.
Oh, no, honey.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, for the longest time, that's what I thought.
No.
Yeah.
No. I am glad you brought that up. It is because the way tithing happens is God said, bring it first. So you're not supposed to tithe after you have exhausted your money or you've done all your expenses. This is the thing. If you start budgeting, this is something that you do when you budget. You budget your tithe first, and then all your expenses come after it. Because what we do, and one of the things that actually makes us not tithe, is we try to put it at the very end. It's just like savings and some of those things that we consider as non-important in our minds. We try to do it at the end. And what happens is a lot of those expenses that we should be taking out, we leave them in our budget. And then when we get to the end, we're like, oh, well, God, as you can see, I have nothing left in my budget. So there goes the tithe. I'm not going to tithe. Or you say, well, I got nothing left, so I'm not going to save. I'm not going to do anything because there's nothing left. You should be tithing first, savings next. If you're not in a debt-free journey and you want to be saving, you should tithe, save, and then do your expenses. They say pay yourself first after you get your paycheck. But no, the thing is, pay God first, pay yourself second, and then the rest follows. Okay? Got it?
Whoa, okay.
So, here's the thing now. Should you tithe and be paying debt? I'm just going to circle back, first of all, and just go back to why do we tithe? Tithing is not for everyone.
Explain.
Tithing is not for everybody. First of all, if you're a non-Christian, don't even bother. It would never make any sense to you. If you are in a casual relationship with God, a long distance relationship with God, like you're in that God is in your friend zone and you guys are just in a situationship where like you only holler at him, like God is kind of like your booty call. Like whenever you have issues, you call on God and be like, hey God, what's up? It's not going to make sense to you, because tithing is something that you do out of, one, your love for God, your worship towards him. It's a response of your love towards God. So there is a level that you will get in your relationship with God where tithing becomes so easy for you because it makes sense. When you're far away from God, you're going to struggle a lot with your tithes because first of all, it's not something that is important to you anymore because you're not putting God first. So you're not interacting with God every day. So you're so far away from God that a lot of these things you start to struggle with. You're struggling with reading your Bible. You're struggling with going to church. You're struggling with a lot of the spiritual disciplines. And so tithing for you is something that you're not going to take seriously. And quite frankly, it's something that you're going to struggle with a lot. I grew up with that tithing culture. Like I was told, oh, you have to tithe. Whenever I got gifts from relatives, or I got like some pocket money, like when I was in boarding school, I would tithe my pocket money and all of that stuff. But I just saw it as something that, oh, the Bible said we should tithe and God is gonna bless us.
Yeah, I feel like it was never taught properly.
That's why, yeah, I always saw it as I'm getting blessed. That's why I'm tithing. So to me, it didn't make a lot of sense for me to do it consistently. I would do it maybe once in a while when I feel bad, or maybe I'm trying to get something from God. I'm like, okay, I should be a little bit more devoted now and start tithing. But tithing is something that, first of all, it comes easy for you based on your relationship with God. So the reason why we tithe is this is something that God has said we should do. And tithing for me personally is not just, I'm not using tithing as, like I said, because I'm trying to get something from God. This is something that God has said we should do. And the reason why he said we should tithe is so that his house would have enough. Mm-hmm. The church is the bride of God, or the bride of Jesus Christ. So imagine you having a spouse. That is going to be something that is the dearest and closest to your heart. So imagine you, when someone treats that thing badly or doesn't take care of it, how do you think that you're going to feel towards that person? That is kind of the stance that God has. Like, if you say you love God and you're not tithing, you don't really love God. That is just the truth about it. It's just like your earthly relationship with anyone, your parents, your spouse, your children. You always want to show, not just say in your heart. A lot of people say, God knows my heart and he knows that I love him. It's just like any relationship with anyone. You always want to demonstrate that love. If your spouse kept telling you, I love you, oh, honey, you know I love you. You know how I feel. And they never did anything to demonstrate that love, would you start to doubt them? Of course you would. It's the same thing with God. There are over the billions of people on earth that are calling on to God and saying, I love God. How does God differentiate you or set you apart from the next person? If you're just saying, oh God, I lift up holy hands to you. You know how much I feel about you. I really love you. I go to church. I'm serving. I'm doing all of these things. And then the one thing that he has called you to do, you're not doing it. What separates you from the next person? Mm-hmm. He's looking down on the earth at the people that he has created. And he's saying, I love these people. I know how I feel about myself. But do I know how they feel about me? Mm-hmm. This is one of God's love languages, by the way. It is worship, and it is demonstrating your love towards God. God, he's big on worship, singing, psalms, all of those things, and always demonstrating your love towards God. So if you're not doing anything about it, you're just saying it in your heart, I love God, it's not going to mean anything to him. Mm-hmm. It's not going to mean anything to God.
One of the things that I've recently learned is that with tithing, it's just showing where your heart is, you know, like
exactly
where your heart placement is, knowing, because we as Christians know that nothing belongs to us, mm-hmm. you know, and everything that has come to us.
A lot of Christians have that idea, though. A lot of people think mm-hmm. that whatever they have in life, they worked for it, so it's theirs. Mm-hmm. How do you see God? That's the question you should ask yourself. Yeah. How do you see God? Do you see him as your source or resource for you? Mm-hmm. Like you only go to him when you need something. Mm-hmm. Or do you see him as that constant source that regardless of what happens in life, he is going to be that supplier of that thing? Do you see him as first place in your life, or do you put your finances first in your life is the question. Because mm-hmm. if God is the first place in your life, a lot of things that, like when you talk about the 10 commandments, when you talk about living a holy life, a lot of those things become so easy because you know that because you love God and you're committed to him, mm-hmm. there's no struggle. Mm-hmm. Like it's just like when you love someone, you always want to demonstrate mm-hmm. that love. And that's what worship is. worship is a response to that love that you have for God.
Yeah.
So you cannot love God and not demonstrate it. You always have to demonstrate it. And for me, what changed my perspective about tithing is when I started seeing tithe as worship. So I'm saying, God, I love you so much. I'm going to do this for you, for your bride, and because you said I should do it. This is me giving back to you because of what you've given to me in the first place. So that was a perspective that I started to have. And the second thing is, don't use tithing as an insurance policy, because a lot of people do it and they say, if I'm tithing, why are bad things happening to me? If I'm tithing, why am I in debt? You're not in debt because you weren't tithing or because you're tithing. You're in debt because you're being stupid. And that's just the plain truth. You're in debt because you're not being a good steward of what God has given to you. God has given everyone, he gave us talents based, like that parable of the 10 talents. He gave everyone based on their ability. There was the one that had 10 talents and he went around and did so much more, and he brought it back to the master and gave him double what the master had given to him initially. And there was the one with the one talent that was like, well, God gave me this one, so I ain't gonna do anything about it. I'm just gonna bear it and not do anything about it. So you're in debt not because God is not protecting you. You're in debt because you're not a good steward.
Your talents.
You're not a good steward of what he is giving to you. And when I started to think about that, because when I started, the last time that I was paying off my debt, I was like, oh, well, if I'm already a negative net worth, well, I don't really have any increase. So I shouldn't be tithing anyways. That was my rationale. That's kind of how I was trying to justify it. But at the end of the day, I am not going to stop paying my insurance because I'm in debt. I'm not going to stop paying my electricity bill because I'm in debt. I'm not going to stop, quite honestly, shopping at Sephora because I'm in debt. That's what a lot of us do. Like, we don't stop doing those things that we think are important to us because we're in debt. So why do you want to stop tithing just because you're in debt? Does that mean that God is not important to you? Because that's the truth of it. That's what you're telling God. That God, you're not important enough to me. My debt is more important than me. My finances are more important than me. These other things that I have to pay to. Because trust me, the insurance company, they don't want to know that you're broke. They don't care. Even that credit card company, your minimum payment better come in, else they're going to come find you. You're not going to stop making those payments all of a sudden because you're in a negative net worth. So why should you stop giving to God? So like Chite said, you need to figure out where your heart posture is. If your heart is where you're just dilly-dallying with God and not taking him seriously, something like tithing is going to be very difficult for you. But if you find yourself making a lot of these arguments, you might actually be saying it and your heart can be in a genuine place where you need to figure out deep down, what is your relationship with God? Because if your relationship with God is actually growing and getting stronger, things like this would not be a struggle for you. We both, we were in that place where we were not tithing consistently, and it was kind of
for me, it was mostly because I didn't understand what it meant, for the longest time. Like, I've always had that why question. Like, one of my spiritual disciplines is giving. So it's not like it was something that I would have struggled with if I knew what it was or what it meant. So when I knew what it was, and to me, like Eduek said, for her, it was worship. For me, it was knowing that it humbles me. It keeps me human. Money is not my idol. Tithing for me is for me. It's mostly for me because I need to know where my place is. And my place is a human with a God that provides for me.
Exactly. And
that's why tithing is so important to me, because if I tithe, I know that I am saying, God, all of this that you've given to me, it's all yours.
Yeah.
It's all temporary. I don't know what's going to happen, but my destiny is in your hands. Like, I have no control over any of this.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel like I'm contributing to the purpose, the bigger picture, the bigger plan, because that's what we're here for. We're here to make disciples of other people.
Yeah.
And if I can't contribute to that, then what am I doing? I'm going to church for free. Nobody asks you to pay in like at the movie theaters. Like, you pay for everything. You pay to get any kind of entertainment. Let's just say church is in the entertainment category, right? Like, you pay for your Netflix for your chills. You pay for your ice cream when you go out. You pay for your dinner. You pay for the movies. You pay for everything. Church is free. Like, you go there, this person is working their behinds all week to make sure that you get the message that you're supposed to. Their churches, I don't know where you're from or what you're doing, but their churches are helping the people who work there, the people who work in the community.
Yeah, a lot of these people are getting paid a salary because it's their full-time job. A lot of the pastors these days, that's their full-time job. Yeah. So they got mouths to feed. They have a family.
They have families.
So where's the money gonna come from?
For me, it makes me feel good that although I might not have a lot that I'm contributing, there were times that my salary was, next to zero. Just giving just makes me feel like, oh, wow, I'm participating in a much bigger picture. Like, I'm the tiniest piece of the puzzle, Exactly. Like, the puzzle is about to be complete and my piece is the only piece that's missing to be able to complete the whole thing, the whole picture to be seen. And you might think that, oh, it's not going to make a difference. But there's so many African sayings that prove otherwise. Little by little always feels to the top, Yeah. You never know, like, what the church is struggling with. I have a lot of Swahili sayings that will tell you otherwise. That the tiniest, even in your savings, just think about, like, if you save $2 a day, at the end of the week, oh my God, why did I spring math on my screen? 2 times 7 is 14, is it? Yeah. You have $14 at the end of the week. So
you made me question myself. I was like, wait, what?
So just think about it. Like, you're contributing to a bigger cause. This money is not yours in the first place. Yes, you went to work for it. Yes, you did this, you did that, but who gave you those opportunities to even go to school, to even get that job? Who made you be born in such a beautiful family that took care of you, that made you go to that school, that made you get that job, that now you have the salary to, splurge and like, just think about it. Like, it's just a humbling experience to be able to give back to your church.
Yeah, you have to look at God as your source, and then everything else is a resource that he uses to bless you. He would use that job to bless you. He would use that person that comes into your life that is committed to seeing you grow and prosper. He will use that person to get you where he wants you to be. So he would use anything and anyone to bless you. He even said in Malachi that, trust me, prove me. He said, I want you to just test me, just for fun. Test me and see if I would not open the windows of heaven for you. But again, I don't want you to focus on those blessings. I don't want you to focus on those things, because if you focus on those things and bad things start to happen to your life, you're going to think that, oh, well, my tithing is in vain. And that's kind of where I was at in life for a very long time, where I was like, oh God, I'm consistently tithing, but why are all of these things happening to me? And then there's something that I got that revelation in my spirit. It was that, Eduek, you've had so many hard times in life, but have I gotten you through all of them? Were you able to get through all of those things? There are things that have happened to me in life, and my friends have been like, I don't even know how you're sane and how you're calm right now. And I tell them, like, it's not from me. It's the grace of God. Like, he gives you that peace through that storm. He helps you handle whatever situation that you're going through. It's God. He helps you through those situations, because the thing about, we're living in a fallen world and bad things are always going to happen. You're going to lose a job. Your family member is going to be in the hospital. Bad things are going to happen. That's life. But the thing is that he gives us the grace to be able to bear those things. And that's what the grace of God does for you. So don't use your tithe as an insurance policy to say, okay, now I'm tithing, nothing bad is ever going to happen to me. No, that's not how it works. And the thing you were saying about when we save and when we allocate money to other things in our budget, if you don't tithe, you're still going to use that 10% for something else that is so inconsequential, that doesn't make any sense, and you'll be wondering, where did my money go? That's the thing about tithing. Like, I have compared in the 2 seasons in my life where I've been tithing consistently, all of this debt that I accumulated, my $47,000 worth of debt, during this period, I did not pay one amount of tithe. And my justification for not paying tithe then was like, oh, I'm already in debt. Why should I be paying tithe when I'm already in debt? Guess what? I still use that 10% to get into more debt anyways. So there's a lot of things that there's a lot of
Yeah.
controversies surrounding tithe, but at the end of the day, as a Christian, if you find yourself struggling with tithing, trying to justify why you shouldn't tithe, I just encourage you to go back and spend time with God. Try to work on your relationship with God. Try to strengthen that relationship to God, and He will speak to you. He will reveal things to you in your life that you're doing that you need to either eliminate, that could create space for that, for you to start tithing consistently. He would reveal things to you, and He would give you that peace that comes with it. Because when we first decided that, okay, we're going to first tithing, we actually watched this sermon series by Pastor Mike Todd of Transformation Church, Wait Till I Get My Money Right. And a lot of the things that he said, he did that series in conjunction with Pastor Robert Morris. And a lot of things they said, it was like a light bulb moment for me from
it was
sermon to sermon. It was like,
me.
I was like, wow.
It was all new information.
So at that point, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I made up my mind. I prayed about it. Even at that point, my relationship with God was still a little bit shaky. But I was like, I'm going to do this because I'm done playing with God. I'm done treating God like He's second place. Like, I keep telling God, I'm committed to you, but I'm not showing it. I'm not showing it in my finances. I'm not showing it in the way that I live my life. I'm not showing it in the way that what I do with my body. Like, a lot of these things we say we're committed to God, but we just go about living our lives the way we want. And God is just like, well, you're not serious about this relationship. It's just like every relationship you are with someone, if you don't treat them like, you're not gonna. God, the thing about God is He loves us unconditionally, right? But there are principles in life that we have to go by. And that's the principle of giving. If you don't give, nothing's going to come back to you. That's just the truth about life. You have to give to receive. And during that period as well, we had decided that, okay, and that was actually coinciding with our whole
with our
money revolution and all of those things. So we started budgeting, putting tithe down. And for me, during that period, I lost my job. Okay. So I said this before, when I decided that I was going to start paying more money towards my debt, like kind of take my finances more seriously, tithing was part of that financial goal. And I didn't get to, so I lost my source of income before I had actually started putting that plan into place. So I was like, okay, now I've lost my job. So I don't have any source of income right now. I got severance, but the severance I got wasn't gonna last me long. But I was like, so what am I gonna do now? Do I stop tithing? And the answer was, well, you're still getting something, so you should still tithe. And for me, I felt that was a test of my faith as well, because I was like trying to rationalize why I shouldn't tithe at this point in life. Because anyone that is out of a job, that's a very good reason why you should not tithe. But I said, no, God, my devotion to you and the love that I have for you is not based on my circumstances. I'm not gonna stop showing you that I'm truly committed. I am devoted based on my circumstances. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna still do this. I was doing my Uber and tithing out of my Uber consistently. So whatever excuse that you have, I'm not saying your excuses are not valid, but I'm saying you should check where your heart is with God, because I have heard, so like every time a pastor preaches a sermon on tithing, there's always these controversies that come up, and people will say all kinds of things. Well, you can give that money to charity. You can give that money.
Or
you can
just
serve
want
in
my
church.
money. Yes, they need your money.
Like I said, one of God's love languages is worship. And with the love languages, your love languages could be quality time, and I can shower you all the gifts in this world and it would not mean anything to you. It's just like you
spend time with
serving
me
in church. You could sacrifice, like you could spend 8 hours in church every Sunday, or you can be going to church every day of the week, and it would not mean anything to God, because He has asked you. He's like, this is the one thing I've asked you to do, and you're not doing that one thing that I want you to love me in this way, and you're not showing it to me. Because now you're serving people. I'm not saying you should stop serving. You're doing a good thing, but you're not doing that one thing that God has said, this is how I want you to show love to me. God, He feels love. He is love. So He knows what love is. He can tell what love is when He sees it. So if you're constantly sacrificing yourself, doing everything else but the one thing that God has said you should do, you're just wasting your time. A lot of churches these days, like when I was in Nigeria, the church that I used to go to, they would not let you serve in church if you're not tithing, if you're not a consistent tither, because they're like, your serving in church has to be something that is meaningful to you and you take seriously. So for you to show that commitment, we need to know where your heart posture is, and that we would know that by you being committed in your tithing. So that's just the thing. Like, if you're serving in church consistently and you're not tithing towards it, like, would you? How are you serving in church and not tithing? Like, how are you? Like, how are you not taking care of the thing that you're already putting your efforts into? Like, how does that even make any sense? So, please, I beg of you, spend some time, practice a lot of the spiritual disciplines like fasting, praying, silence and solitude, reading the Bible. And as you start to work on your relationship with God, He will start to reveal all of these things to you. It would reaffirm a lot of these things to you, why you should tithe. I recommend watching that sermon, Wait Till I Get My Money Right, by Pastor Mike Todd. There's so many revealed truths in that sermon that would put you back on track. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's 10%. Come on.
Yeah.
You are giving 90% to do whatever you want to do with it. God is asking for a portion of it.
I found that it was very freeing for me when I started tithing, because I was like, the weight was lifted off my shoulder.
Oh, yes.
Because I was just like, oh,
complete
this
peace.
is automatic. Like, it's just
peace.
It's just something that I'm gonna do, and that's it. And also, when I started tithing, everything somehow financially just fell into place.
It would fall into place. Like,
before, I would try and pay off my debts, but I would get back to square one.
You know what?
All the time.
I think the reason why we've been so consistent in paying our debt off is because of how consistent we've been at tithing.
I feel like it's just a routine. It sets, like, when you set your alarm to wake up at a certain time every day, and you keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. Some days, weekends, you don't set an alarm, but you wake up at the same time every single day, because consistency is key, And once you have that discipline of, 10% is going to my tithe, then I guarantee that you're not going to go over on your food budget. So if you set yourself up, I'm going to give 10% towards my tithe, I guarantee that you'll be consistent with giving 30% towards your debt every month. Yeah, so that 10% kind of defines what the other percentages of your budget are going to be, because if you stick to your 10%, then you're able to stick to all of the other percentages that you have, in your budget, just so you make sure that it kind of is like a stepping stone, towards like your discipline in your monthly payments of your debt, or, your savings. Because if your 10% is for savings, your 10% is for your debt, your 15% is for savings, chances are you're going to be able to stick to it, because now you have a good foundational routine to it. And it might be harder the more money you make, because it's like, I'm giving away
harder the more money you
money.
make. When I was doing minimum wage jobs, I didn't have any problem tithing. But as soon as I started making like good money, I was like, wow, 10% of my income is a lot.
Yeah.
And when you start looking at it, especially when you're paying debt, you're like, wow, this money would help me get closer to my goal. It would get me closer to my goal by maybe 3-4 months. And you start to panic and be like, wow, I don't think God would want me to be in debt, so I should stop tithing. But no, honey. Like we said, God is not the reason why you went into debt. So it's not going to be easy, but like you have to be in that place with God where you know that you're not serving Him because you want it to be easy for you. And trust me, He would give you that grace. Right now, I don't even think I think about it. Like, I don't even think about tithing.
I don't miss it.
It's not, I don't try to rationalize it anymore. I just tithe. I just do it. Just like you pay your bills, you just do it.
Yeah, mine is on auto pay, so it just goes.
And that's a good thing. Set it on auto pay. On my church, I've set it at the end of the year. If you have a consistent pay, you get paid a specific amount every paycheck. Take that 10%. Set it on auto pay. Your church will usually have an account number that you can add as a biller or whatever it is, and set it on auto pay.
Yeah, or write the checks in advance.
If you work different hours and your pay varies, get an average of what your take-home pay is for maybe the last 6 to 10 months. Use that average and set it as auto pay, and then anything that comes on top of that, whatever, if it's more than the average, you pay that extra the 10% of that extra. And that includes bonuses as well. That includes all your side hustles. You have to tithe out of your profit. Out of your profit. So you don't want to be tithing the cost of your business. So whatever side hustles that you have, tithe out of it. And trust me, God is
faithful.
He is. Like, he has proven himself time and time and time again. He's covering on you. He's protecting you. Okay. Yeah. And nothing else in life can give you that protection. Your job, it's never secure. No matter how long you've worked in that company, no matter what you bring to that table, recession comes, whatever it is in life that comes, you're kicked out of the door. A lot of things happen in life, and it's not just that assurance. It's not like I said, it's not an insurance policy that's going to guarantee that you're always going to have your job. You might lose that job. I did lose my job, but God still gave me that faith and that strength to still carry on and still keep pushing and still trying to find a better job, a new job, and just that peace around that time, that knowing that, okay, the situation is temporary and I'm going to get through it because God's got me. So that's the thing that God does for you. And
yeah, and you might not see it now, but you have records in the past where he's shown up, just go back to those, and just those things will bring you your gratitude. You'll bring the gratitude out of you. And if there's not much to look back on your past, look forward, because he says that we have no clue the amount of abundance that he has in store for us.
He's the God of the universe. Come on, he can do anything.
He can do infinitely, abundantly,
more than your mind can fathom.
Yeah. So if your present is not great and your past wasn't great either, just imagine how beautiful the future is going to be.
Yes.
Especially after your debt's been paid.
This is scripture, and is it Philippians that said, setting your mind on the prize, like running the race. So it helps you run the race. Oh, I cannot, that scripture is not coming to my head. Yeah. It helps you run the race because your mind is set on that prize that you're going to get in the end, and that mind is being debt free. So all of these things like that come with it, God's going to get you through it. There's this illustration that one of my pastors back in Nigeria did, and I just want to demonstrate that. So imagine that this is, okay, let's just use this as your income. Let's just say this is your take home pay, maybe $3,000. Okay. So this is 100% of your $3,000. That is your income. So take that money and you cut it. So this is 10%. This is the part that goes to God. And this is the 90% that you hold. So what happens is when you break that money, when you take that 1% and you break it, this 90% has a mark. It has something that looks like a scar. That mark is the mark of God on that money. That is the mark that God, in Malachi, when he says, I will rebuke the devourer for your sake, that's what he meant, because his mark is on it. When the devourer comes, he's going to turn his back. He's not going to devour that thing that God has set his mark on. So that 90% has God's protection on top of it. And I have seen that in my life throughout this period, where even when I'm actually making stupid mistakes, somehow I always get my money back. I always get my money back because at the end of the day, we're humans. We'll make mistakes. But God, he's the master of wisdom. So he's there to not only give us that protection, he actually gives us the wisdom that we need to manage our wealth, to manage our finances. And this period, I have been so good with money. I used to be terrible with money. And now, I am like a finance guru. I have surprised myself.
Well,
I surprise myself these days, but I know that it is the wisdom of God, that God is constantly giving me new ways that I could either manage my finances, and even things that I could do to supplement my income as well. All of that is from God. And I always give him back that credit and that glory, because I know that he constantly would be my provider and my source.
I wanted to talk about giving. I just wanted to touch point on what Eduek had talked about giving. We have the tithing, and then we have the offerings that we usually give to church. Those are two separate things. And we're not saying that you shouldn't do the latter and that the latter is not important. It's important too. Like if you're giving to your community, if you're volunteering, if you're serving in your church, those things are important and they're good too. We're just saying that you need to do this as well because this symbolizes something else. Those are two different things and they symbolize two different things. And when you're giving above the tithing,
above your 10%,
above your 10%, that's where you're tapping into things that you didn't even know. Like these are like the hidden secrets that you're tapping into that you didn't even know. That's where all of the blessings are wrapped around. So I just wanted to say that it's important that you give. If you are giving, if you're in your debt journey and giving is not a priority to you, that's fine. That can be in the back burner until you're ready. But tithing is important.
Yeah.
And if you can't give money, you have your talent, you have your time. Serve in your church.
We're not saying tithe talents, by the way. We're saying give. So you tithe and then you can give talents. Don't confuse it too. Okay.
Yeah.
Tithing is non-negotiable. Your tithing is your money. So you're not tithing gifts and service and all of that stuff. No. It's the given part. So you can give service, you can give time, you can give all of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's where the giving comes.
Yeah. And then, like you feel like this is something that I've struggled with because, like, as I said, giving is one of my spiritual gifts. And I'm just like, I don't have money. I don't have the money to do all of these things that I want to do. And that's like one of the biggest drivers for me to like get out of debt because I'm just like, I can't deal with all of like giving my money to corporation when I know that there are people who are hungry, who are starving, who don't even have like, who can't like even know what their next meal is.
Yeah.
And you can help, find a place in your community that you can volunteer and tap into. Just sit down and think, okay, I want to give. I don't have money. But how can I help other people who are in a situation that the cause is near and dear to my heart? Do that, At least that will keep you going until you're debt free. And then you can be like, Bill Gates the hell out of your giving. You can go to like all the impoverished places and like filter pee so that they can have clean drinking water. You can do all that after you're debt free.
Yeah. So we're hoping that we've been able to not convince you because at the end of the day, tithing is not something that you need to be convinced. It's something that you need to be convicted of. It's something that you have to have that conviction in your spirit. And if you're not at that point yet, like I said previously, I urge you to go back and just sit down with God, spend a lot of time with him and see what he's saying. Because if you call yourself someone that loves God, that believes in God, and you're not tithing, then I think you're in the wrong, and you need to go back and listen to his word and what he says in the word. We need to tithe. We need to refocus our priorities, and God should always be your number one. He should always be your first. Don't love him with your heart and not with your money. Faith without works is dead. You have to put works into it. So hopefully we can help you
clarify something
that, because for me this was a turning point in my life, and I have not had any struggles paying my tithe. Never ever. Since the beginning of this year, I have consistently paid my tithe. I have not missed anything. It's on auto pay, so it just goes away. I don't look at it. Any extra money that I get, I tithe on top of it, and that's just how it's been. And I have not missed a debt payment either. So why are you not tithing? You can say, why should I tithe? But the real question is, why shouldn't you? Why shouldn't you? Get on it. Start today. And may God's blessings, may he open the windows of heaven,
floodgates,
and pour down his blessings, that there will not be room enough for you to contain it. And this is Malachi 3:10, and he says, trust me here in this, if I will not rebuke the devourer for your sake. So God's word is powerful. His word is true. It is powerful. It is everlasting. It would be true in every situation in your life. And just hold him. And if something happens, you have something to hold him to. Say, God, you said in your word, you said that you will rebuke the devourer for my sake. Why is this happening? You can hold him accountable. You can go back to God and say, hey, God, what's going on? She's not afraid of you asking questions. He is an infinite God. So you can go back to him and say, God, why is this happening? Yeah, you have something that you can use. All right. So you know the deal. Follow us on all of our social media.
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
At 2 cents of a dime. Send us an email, 2centsofadime@gmail.com. And we would love to answer all your questions. And if you have more questions concerning tithe, send us an email and we will try our very best to answer your questions. And we pray for God's peace to surround your heart as you take this step and make the decision to do this. Amen.